the current Congress leadership, do you see any parallels between Indira Gandhi then and the current leadership now? I mean, they are her direct descendants.
An individual journey is an individual journey, I just feel. But the integrity that people had who've gone through that struggle of independence, that is definitely totally missing in the new generation of people who are just privileged in a good way. Everything is provided to them on a platter, and they are, whatever they're reading out from chits or, I think they have only become worse and worse. Even Mrs. Gandhi, what didn't work for her is because, she was the president of the party. She was his secretary. She had so many cabinet ministries, but it was too soon for her to get all of it on a platter like that. And eventually, when the burden of all of that came, and I always say, when your foundation is not that strong and you try to build more and more stories, the building will collapse. And the same kind of privileges I see in the dynasty politics, and that's why they are failing miserably now.
Rahul Gandhi, I mean, I don't want to make this completely political, but Kangana, a figure like Rahul Gandhi, who has now crafted an image for himself as a social justice warrior, standing for the poor of the country, has echoes of his, of Indira Gandhi. It has echoes of his grandmother. There appears to be an attempt to kind of draw from that kind of image as well.
I don't think.
Garibi hatao, caste justice, social justice, etc. Do you think Rahul Gandhi is in a position to, get some of that reflected glory from his grandmother? Or he's not?
No, he's not. He's, what I understand, because from Mrs. Gandhi's politics was very different from Nehru's politics. Nehru was a liberal's darling, but Mrs. Gandhi's alignment with him started to get distorted, and she rose to be her own person, and she was not a socialist leader. She was never, of like a communist leader, never. Whereas what you described Rahul with the kind of, alignments that he has a very different path than Mrs. Gandhi. Very different. In fact, he has, it seems that he doesn't have a decisive idea of who he is as a leader. He's only chasing a chair, and every time he's changing his path. He's not he's not carving his own path to get to the point. But every time he thinks, oh, maybe ye gali mujhe wo point tak leke jayega, maybe ye gali mujhe. So he's just become any of this. So I do not see any cohesive idea in his leadership. I think he's just, whatever I've seen of him in the parliament also, he's a mess. He's a mess in his speeches, in his conduct. In fact, I had even gone to say, when he started to do that whole gimmick about God's pictures, and he started to say that I am Shiva and I'm Shiva's Bharat and all of that, I was like, he should be tested for drug intake or something, because it was just, I don't know how you're calling him all of this, that he's got this image of, people's savior, because it just seems like a PR idea, but on the ground reality of it is very different, Shiv. I don't know how you're falling for it.
No, I mean, it's the image that the Congress is carving out for him.
That's the hopeful.
People falling for it is about the voters ultimately.
They're hopeful that it happens, but I don't think it is happening.
Okay, now you said something very interesting, Kangana, which strikes me as important, especially when you make a film on a sensitive, polarizing topic like Indira Gandhi and the emergency, which is that people tend to leap towards forming an opinion of good and bad, whereas there are shades of grey. Now, I would argue back and say that your party's government has this year announced something called Samvidhan Hatya Divas. That to me sounds like, a refusal to look at it in shades of grey, as you are suggesting. But in terms of black and white, how does your vision of Indira Gandhi reconcile with this? Or it's okay to have two views. I'm not saying it's not okay to have two views.
You're being very limited in approach. When we see a human is a possibility. A human is a possibility.
As different from emergency?
No, a human is a possibility. I could be a don, a criminal, but I can be a very good father to my children. My children would not see me as a don or criminal. I could be a very kind neighbor. I could be a serial killer, but there may be one person I'm doing everything for. So a human is a possibility.
Yeah.
A human always has a chance to be, but that we are talking about human, but an action. When you talk about an action, then there is no scope of shades of gray or white. An action has an intent, and an intent has consequences. It has a destiny, and it will roll in so many other events that will never be the, life of their people who are doing it, or the ones who are being subjected to, will never be the same again. So when you talk about actions, they can be perceived in completely black and white. So when we talk about Mrs. Gandhi, yes, she is, when she divided Pakistan, or when she, whether Harit Kranti, Green Revolution, there are so many things that can be attributed to her. But emergency, no, she needs to be called out for that.